because apparently, oh, hello there, YouTube. I didn't see you there, winky face, because I can't see you because you're a video platform.
Hello there,
Anyways.
YouTube.
Oh,
Didn't
I'm
see you
echoing.
there, winky face.
Am I echoing?
Yes.
That was creepy.
I thought that was like Adam or George for a minute. I got really scared.
Ugh, I hate the sound of my voice.
I'm just gonna sit up. I'll let George
My
do
lord.
it.
We're
That was-
missing our George.
Oh, George, where are you?
He's lost.
Can't go on without George. I want
Can't go home without you. It's a great song by Kaleo. Oh,
Ryan,
play that.
I've had a question for you for some time.
Yes, madam.
What flavor of tea do you drink?
I drink
Like, what's today's cup of tea?
delicious Red Rose brand black tea.
Right. You like black tea. I will
Same
never
tea that my mom and I used to make sweet tea out of. Homemade sweet tea.
Right. So
Oh.
whenever you have tea on the show, come on.
You are listening to 90.3 WMSC up in Montclair, New Jersey.
Everybody,
You're right there, George.
how's everybody doing?
George, you look a little different today.
Yeah, I'm actually New Jersey Devils defenseman BK Subban as player. It's a little weird, but I'm just trying to get used to it. But yeah, everything's going well right now. It's a beautiful morning. Well, it could be a little bit more beautiful because it's very cloudy out. But hey, what can you do? It's New Jersey. It's pretty much we're home of nuclear waste and everything else, and pork rolls and whatever. But hey.
For these visual jokes, you can tune in on YouTube Live or on YouTube afterwards.
Yeah, totally. Sounds good, Ryan. He's the man with the plan. I really enjoy that. And are you wearing your class? Oh no, that's a cross. Okay.
No, I am wearing my class ring. Yeah.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, I got a cross on it.
Cool. Awesome.
Alrighty. Well,
with that intro, welcome to the Morning Buzz.
Today is Wednesday, May 27th. It's the Morning Buzz with our host,
George Jamgochin and Minnie.
Him too.
Subban.
Hey, I'm your co-host, Leslie Gallagher. We've got a lot to talk about today. It's going to get intense, guys, and that's just a warning.
It's going to be a good show, though. I'm excited for some of these stories.
I'm very excited.
Yeah. And of course, filling in as your newscaster, I'm Ryan Trick. Hello.
Ryan, you're just
howdy.
Fitting right in.
Oh yeah, I jump into shows. I jump out of show. Well, I never jump out of a show. I always jump into shows. And Annabelle always tells me, Ryan, you can't be on every show. And I say, ha ha. That's why I became the producer, because I can. As I take a sip of my tea.
He's nonchalantly drinking his tea right now with the San Francisco mug.
Yes, I got the wrong mug today. I'm apparently from San Francisco today.
Did you ever go to San Francisco?
Yes, I have. Beautiful city. Shout out to our San Francisco listeners, if we have any.
You never know.
I lost my one of my lens caps to my camera. Fell off the side of the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh my god.
So that's a story for another time, though. Speaking of stories, already with the segues, I'll kick it off with today's newscast. It's going to be a fun day. Good morning. As I said, my name is Ryan Trick, and here's today's newscast. 4 white police officers have been fired in Minneapolis after a black man died during an attempted arrest. Members of the community say this is not enough. Several thousands rallied last night protesting the death of George Floyd, a black man who died while handcuffed as an officer pushed his knees into Floyd's neck. The mayor, Jacob Frey, said, quote, "Being black in America should not be a death sentence," end quote. Leslie Redman of the NAACP called it lynching, saying, quote, "They didn't use rope, he used his knee," end quote. A white woman in a white woman from New York City has been fired from her investment firm after a bird watcher who is black called her out for walking her dog without a leash. She called the police, and we do have a short clip.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you either. I'm being threatened by a man in the Ramble. Please send the cops immediately.
The man recorded the incident on his phone as he calmly asked her several times to obey the rules. The man has accepted her apology, calling it sincere, but pointed out that while she may not consider herself a racist, that particular act was, quote, definitely racist. In other news, SpaceX is all set to launch 2 astronauts into the International Space Station this afternoon. The SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket is planned to launch from Kennedy Space Center in Florida today at 4:33 p.m. Eastern. Eastern. The launch is set to mark a huge milestone in its own company history with a first ever crewed spaceflight. It's a moment that hasn't happened in nearly a decade, and it might all come down to the weather. A whole team of meteorologists will be on hand from the 45th Space Wing and SpaceX to determine whether the weather will scrub the launch. The decision will be made right up to liftoff. SpaceX and NASA will be co-hosting a webcast during takeoff, and coverage will be live until they dock with the space station about 19 hours after launch. And of course, it wouldn't be a newscast without our wonderful bits of Donald Trump. According to AP News, President Donald Trump and his associates angrily lashed out yesterday after Twitter tagged a warning phrase to 2 of the president's tweets that called mail-in ballots, quote, fraudulent, predicted that, quote, mailboxes will be robbed, and more. In classic Trump fashion, he replied to Twitter accusing them of, quote, interfering in the 2020 presidential election, end quote, and insisting that, quote, as president, I will not allow this to happen. And of course, in weather today, it is 65 degrees and mostly cloudy over by Franklin Lakes. The high will be 77, and it is great weather to go outside and exercise, maybe shooting hoops, taking a brisk walk. I like going for hikes personally. And how's the weather over by you guys?
Well, I live in Franklin Lakes, Ryan. Thank you for, yeah. And of course, Leslie.
Yeah, it's quite similar where I live. I'm in Byram Township. It's currently like 68 degrees. It's gonna get up to 78 at some point. But the good news is that we've got almost no rain today, and it looks really clear outside. It's like really beautiful right now. So it is perfect for a hike or a walk.
It was beautiful weather these past few days, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I was super happy with Memorial Day. I walked outside. I was like, it is great grilling weather. At least it was by me.
Yeah.
So I'm finally pleased that we're starting to see bits of summer weather come back.
Yeah, I've been using my pool lately, going swimming and swinging laps and playing basketball inside, the pool and stuff, which is just, it's quintessential summer fun. It's what the Beach Boys sang about in their first couple albums,
Exactly.
So,
exactly. Summer fun, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have like a little basketball hoop in your pool?
Yeah.
That's so cute.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I like
love
that.
And actually, yesterday my mom tried to coax me to dive off the diving board, and I'm like, it's something that I haven't done in a while, but I jumped off. I jumped off the first time. She said, "No, that was a jump. You have to go dive off." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
No, I think what you need to do is get some bounces, right? Get some air and use that to dunk into the basketball hoop.
Good idea.
Exactly. And we'll show that on the buzz, obviously.
Totally.
Of course. What else would we do? Talk about it. No.
Showing George dunk in his pool.
Anything but news.
If my computer has good Wi-Fi by my pool area, then yeah, totally.
Fantastic.
But yeah, so as we move on to our first story of the day, so Point Pleasant Beach is known to be a popular spot for vacationers at the Jersey Shore. and it is going to reopen Friday without rides, games, amusements, or dining. Authorities announced yesterday that Point Pleasant Beach's boardwalk and northern beaches will reopen this Friday, but not the rides, games, or amusements. Mayor Paul Kenitra said the restaurants will have only takeout and the inlet will be open to socially responsible fishing. The mayor and his borough officials discussed, quote, the logistics needed for social distancing and determined that the proper pieces were in place for an opening of our boardwalk and northern beaches, end quote. Kenitra said, quote, opening up corridors only on the boardwalk was ultimately deemed to be counterproductive to public safety. Therefore, all barriers will be removed accordingly, end quote.
Following Governor Phil Murphy's social distancing orders, rides, games, and amusements will remain closed and restaurants will be open for takeout only. The mayor also noted that there would be traditional resources to ensure safety, such as increasing the number of policemen to keep social distancing intact and providing hand sanitizer throughout the boardwalk, among a few other things. Kenitra mentioned that these measures are subject to change if the COVID-19 situation does itself, just like any other decision that's been made thus far.
Yeah, so actually, I should come clean here. I vacationed at Point Pleasant Beach a lot, and I saw. I've been to Jenkinson's, which is their amusement park and their theme park, and I've taken walks on their boardwalk. I've been to their aquarium, and it's a straight up nice summer place that you get to spend time at. It has all the rides and all the games, the water's gun game, and the dart game, and the food. I'm a huge foodie, so of course.
Oh, dude, and boardwalk food is the best though, because you can get the classic Jersey like disco fries or boardwalk fries. You get funnel cake. You get all kinds of stuff that you should absolutely not be eating. But I mean, you're at a boardwalk, so
it's acceptable at the boardwalk.
It's acceptable, yeah.
Yeah,
totally. I can't imagine a boardwalk without that stuff.
I know. That's why I feel like this is like really bittersweet news, because it's like, yay, the boardwalk's open, but like all the things that make it awesome, like we can't have.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know how I feel about this.
Yeah. So for those like people who are listening who aren't from New Jersey, because I've lived in a bunch of different places. So like say boardwalks in Florida aren't nearly anything like boardwalks in New Jersey a lot of the times. A boardwalk in New Jersey is like, it's an experience. It's almost like a carnival all summer long. I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome. It's not just like something you go to the beach or to look at like the ocean. You go to a boardwalk with like $100 in your pocket or as much money as you can scrounge together with your friends, and you leave with like, I don't know, a stomach full of funnel cake and possibly 2 stuffed animals. Like it's it's an experience.
Yes, sir.
And I can't imagine it like without all this stuff. So I think you're right, Leslie. It will be like really bittersweet kind of to see the boardwalk without everything that makes it a boardwalk.
Yeah, like I have a summer birthday, so like there have been like many times over the years where I don't know what I want to do for my birthday, so I'll just be like, oh, let's go to Point Pleasant Boardwalk and just like have a good day. But like I can't do that this year. Not even like it wasn't even in like my plans. I wasn't even thinking like that. That's usually like my backup because I love going there. And it's just, like, I don't know, like we got the classic Coors ice cream. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, shout out to our Sons of Liberty, AJ and Steven, who work at Coors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Coors ice cream. I think that might be one of my favorite parts. And then going, like how it's like blazing hot outside, and then you like duck into the arcade, and it's like cool, and then you do all your tickets and the prizes. Like, oh, it never gets old. I will never grow up. I will be a kid forever as long as boardwalks exist.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Exactly.
Look. We may be in college, and we may do college classes, and we may have facial hair, but we are still kids. We're still kids. I will contend to this until I'm like 26. I will still be a kid until my mid-20s.
Yep. I always like to say you're never too old to ride on the back of a shopping cart.
Yeah.
That's I live and die by that phrase. I went out grocery shopping just the other week, and as I was walking down the aisle, I hopped on the back of a shopping cart, and a woman looked at me and just started laughing because You're never too old to ride on the back of a shopping cart.
What about the shopping carts with the cars attached that you get to believe that you're driving and stuff?
Oh yeah. At
That would-
ShopRite, they have the little like flags that go up that says customer in training.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. If I was like small enough, I would absolutely be driving in those still.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. But anyways, I
Yeah.
can't believe they're doing boardwalks without the boardwalk. But hey, we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah. I mean, like going to the beach is one thing, but going to the boardwalk is a totally different thing.
Yeah,
Like sitting on the beach or swimming. Like you have to
exactly.
just go to know it. Like if you've never been to a New Jersey boardwalk, then
Yeah, it's
I
an
don't know.
experience that if you've never been, it's a good experience to check out.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. At least once in your life. Of course,
At least.
maybe when everything opens, but
Mhm.
until then.
Wow.
But yeah, I guess on to more serious news.
Yeah.
Leslie, take this one away.
We've got an intense story. And I'm gonna make you feel some things. Okay. Anyways, so a unanimous state Supreme Court on yesterday removed state Superior Court Judge John F. Russo Jr. from the bench over repeated misconduct that included asking an alleged rape victim if she kept her legs closed. State Supreme Court Justice Stuart Rabner wrote, quote, his overall behavior reflects a lack of probity and fitness to serve as a judge, and his conduct breached the public's trust. In light of respondent's serious and repeated acts of misconduct, we are compelled to direct that the respondent be removed from office, end quote. Calls to Russo's attorneys seeking comment were not immediately returned.
The Supreme Court's decision brings to a close a protracted battle by the former mayor of Toms River and son of the late Senator John F. Russo Sr. to keep his seat on the bench. It comes after the 57-year-old Toms River resident passed up an opportunity for his attorneys to make a final plea on his behalf to the Supreme Court on April 30th, which by then was holding only virtual proceedings because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Russo has tried to get the matter adjourned until in-person proceedings could resume, but the Supreme Court turned him down.
Russo was appointed to the Superior Court in Ocean County in December 2015 after serving 6 years as an administrative law judge. He first came under fire in April 2017 when he was accused of throwing a file at his law clerk. Other allegations soon came to the fore, including that Russo, while presiding over a domestic violence case in 2016, asked an alleged rape victim if she tried to prevent the attack by keeping her legs closed. The woman was seeking a restraining order against the father of her 5-year-old daughter. According to the High Court's opinion, she alleged that the man had threatened her life, sexually assaulted her, and threatened to burn down her house. Russo asked the woman if she knew how to stop someone from having intercourse with her, and then continued to question her about how she tried to prevent the alleged rape. Russo asked her questions such as, did you block your body parts? Did you close your legs? Did you call the police? Did you do any of those things? Russo dismissed a temporary restraining order and would not issue a final restraining order, saying he didn't find the woman to be credible.
At a hearing before the Supreme Court's Advisory Committee on Judicial Conduct in 2018, Russo explained that his questioning of the woman was an attempt to get her re-engaged in the hearing. The Supreme Court opined that Russo explanation does not square with the record and that his coarse questions were irrelevant. Rabner said in the court opinion that, quote, no witness, alleged victim, or litigant should be treated the way in a court of law. The questions also shamed the alleged victim by intolerably suggesting that she was to blame, end quote. Rabner said in the opinion that Russo's joking comments to his staff at the conclusion of the hearing, which were preserved on the court recording system, were just as problematic. Rabner said Russo failed to set the correct tone for his courtroom. The Chief Justice said in the court's opinion that quote, especially when it comes to sensitive matters like domestic violence and sexual assault, that tone must be dignified, solemn, and respectful, not demeaning or sophomoric, end quote.
The Supreme Court also agreed with the Advisory Committee on Judicial Conduct and a 3-judge panel that held hearings last year into Russo's alleged misconduct. The embattled judge violated the judicial code in 3 other matters in which Russo exhibited inappropriate behavior. In one of these matters, Russo had improper communications with only one of 2 parties to a paternity matter, in which he held a 9-minute telephone conversation with one of the parties in front of a crowded courtroom. When that person refused to divulge her address, saying she feared for her safety and that of her child, Russo threatened to fine her and told her, quote, "He's going to find you, ma'am. We're all going to find you," end quote.
According to Rabner, the series of ethical failures that respondents committed are not errors of law, innocent missteps, or isolated words taken out of context. Viewed as a whole, they are flagrant and serious acts of misconduct. Okay, so look, I know with news and the media that you have to really keep your views biased, or you need to keep your views neutral. But and also at WMSC, where the views of our talent do not reflect the views of WMSC. But with this is straight up victim blaming, and come on, man, like why? Like it's straight up personally for me. It doesn't do any good.
It makes me feel sick. Like my blood is like boiling. Like I've been like fidgeting with my hands the whole time. Like, oh, like why? Because
how do you
unnecessary.
get to this point in your career as a judge? How do you get to this point in your career saying stuff like this? I have seen like cases on shows like Judge Judy be treated more seriously than he's treating this. Like, he's going to find you, ma'am. We're all going to find you. You're kidding me, right?
Like
you have a domestic violence victim who is probably suffering from psychological distress, almost definitely. And you come out with that after she doesn't want to give you her address in public?
No, right. I don't mean to correct you. That quote was from a separate misconduct.
Okay.
Yeah, they're 2 different ones.
Even better.
Yeah.
There are 2 different ones.
Yeah, that's 2 different ones, and then there's 2 other ones that we didn't get to mentioning that were also like serious inappropriate behavior. But like,
it's crazy.
The fact
that story, by the way, is brought to you by app.com.
Yeah.
Asbury Park Press.
Yeah.
By the way, yeah.
This stuff keeps happening. Like that last quote, it's like it's not things taken out of context. It's not like innocent little oops. It's like,
and we see plenty of those innocent little oopses in the news that get blown out of proportion. Like, we'll be honest, we've covered them.
Yeah,
other news shows cover them and they blow them up for like entertainment value. This is not blown up for entertainment value. I mean, these are direct quotes from the guy. How on earth can you be? There are no words. I am speechless.
How can you be this intolerable to something like this? Especially when given the case and the circumstances, like something else could happen later, and you don't want that to happen. So
yeah,
I don't know how he like thinks of these questions in his brain, and then his brain gives his mouth the okay to say them. Like, how does that happen?
There's some filters that are not working there. You're right.
Between here and here, like
what? I don't think anything. That's the problem. There's nothing that happens between here and here. And that's the biggest problem that he's having.
It just goes straight through here. It just
exactly.
Trap door.
It's just stream of consciousness. And I think, I mean, look, here's the thing. For the questions he was asking, the alleged rape victim, I mean, like, that's, did you block your body parts, close your legs? Like, come on, dude.
If it was that,
you don't have to be intelligent to understand. You don't have to be that intelligent to understand basic. Just, I'm speechless. You don't have to be that intelligent to understand, like, in that kind of situation, if
it's really not that simple.
It's probably not that simple.
I feel like, no, it's definitely not. And I feel like it just shows his ignorance for him to even ask those questions. Like,
Yeah. I mean, like
obviously
I said,
he
I've
tried
seen
to get
cases.
away.
I've literally seen cases on shows like Judge Judy being treated more seriously than this,
Yeah.
than he's treating these, and making jokes afterwards. You know,
Like
to
Roman
other people in
Fun
the
of the
courtroom.
victim.
That's disgusting.
It straight up just encapsulates what's, what a good judge does and what a bad judge does, and straight up it shows problems that a man that went this far, a person that went this far in a state Supreme Court had to say something like this.
Yeah, dude. If anything, go back to law school. Figure out how to treat cases properly. That's all I'm gonna say about it.
Yeah, and if anything, be a law professor and be the next.
Well, no, maybe don't even do that. I
Just make
like.
him fired.
Yeah, like I mean, it's
If he was a law professor, he'd be Professor Callahan from Legally Blonde. Just saying.
I feel bad for the woman who received these questions. Like, if
Yeah.
someone asked me that, I would be so like choked.
I would just walk out.
I wouldn't even know what to say. I'd be like frozen in shock. Like, what?
Yeah, like it like, wait, did the judge just ask me that? Not some person who's harassing me in the courtroom? A judge? The person
Yeah.
handling the case asked me that? You're kidding, right? Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to I wouldn't be able to function.
And it's
Yeah.
wrong for like any person to like say these kinds of things, but then we have like a judge, like a person, a professional who's
Yeah.
supposed to be like unbiased.
It's not just the fact that these things were said, and you said it perfectly, Leslie. It's like, look, people are, for not to put it lightly, but people can be just terrible sometimes. We've seen that in stories throughout the pandemic. People can just be not great human beings at times. This is I always point this way because I'm looking at the story on my second monitor. This is just a terrible example of that. Like, and I've said stuff like this in covering certain presidential stories before. We're not going to go back to the whole medical injection as a way of curing corona thing, which I always reference back to, but like, come on, dude. If you're at a seat of power, if you're just in a position where little kids might be looking up to you like, wow, I want to be that guy one day, don't go saying stuff like this.
Right.
Like, come on. It's just not okay. If you're in a seat of power or privilege or whatever, you got to learn how to handle cases like this properly.
Yeah.
It's pathetic. It doesn't take a lot to understand that this is not okay. And if he doesn't understand that, then he just needs to, in my opinion, he just needs to be removed from the judicial system, just period.
I will say,
You guys
though-
want to move on? I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah.
What?
Can I say one last thing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
say one last thing before we go on.
I think maybe like even like 20 years back and more, if someone said something like this, it would just it would go over everyone's head. No one would say anything. Nothing would be written up saying that it was inappropriate. So
Yeah.
at least we can be thankful that people have come around and recognized that this is inappropriate talk and inappropriate behavior, to the point where we can actually make change, and have the really inappropriate
Exactly.
people not be representing our judicial system. And the fact that a lot of people recognize that this is inappropriate, and yeah, I just think that's
Exactly.
important. We've come a long way. At least, he's a little behind,
Hopeful.
but everyone else.
He's a little behind. The rest of us have come a long way.
Like 50 years.
But
Look, let's
in
move on
much
to some
lighter
better
news,
Yeah,
right?
much better news for the class of 2020 for high schoolers and colleges. New Jersey graduates will be getting a ceremony this year. After all, Governor Phil Murphy announced yesterday he is allowing high schools and colleges to hold outdoor graduation ceremonies that comply with social distancing. The move goes into effect July 6th. In his daily briefing, Murphy said, quote, "To the class of 2020, I am proud to say that you will have your opportunity to join with your classmates and families to celebrate your graduation," end quote.
schools remain closed for the remainder of the academic year. Back in April, Murphy said that he couldn't see schools having in-person ceremonies due to the coronavirus. He has since changed his mind because of the decreasing number of cases and deaths and hospitalizations in New Jersey. There were other influences to this decision, however. The governor was under pressure from lawmakers across the state to allow the in-person ceremonies, and he was sued by Toms River students saying he acted arbitrarily in bearing the ceremonies. So this is good news
Yeah.
overall.
I mean,
Great
we've been
news.
seeing loads of, high school students having to do like online proms or online, graduations.
Mhm.
And, even we at MSU have had so far a bunch of online,
Yeah.
ceremonies so far. But now you can have convocation outside.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds kind of difficult to do, especially if you're from like a big school, if you have like thousands of graduates. How do you find
Yeah.
a space to put 6 feet between each of them? That sounds very difficult.
Outside, particularly. So normally, for those of you unfamiliar, at MSU we have the Prudential Center commencement ceremony, and Prudential Center is huge. If you haven't been there, it's huge, and we need that space. And we are a smaller school, relatively speaking. I mean, so we pack that place just from us being at Montclair. I can't imagine a school like this for like Rutgers,
Yeah.
or I mean, that's insane.
I feel like,
So I feel like they'd have to break it up, right?
yeah, I
Like
feel like they'd
per
have to split it
college.
in half or even more. They'd have multiple ceremonies per college, and no parents or family members could come. They probably have to figure out a way to let them watch it virtually or something. Like, I'm glad that they're allowing it. It seems very complicated. I'm glad they're trying though, because I feel like that's better than just giving up and being like, oh, we can't do it. So
Yeah. And the MSU ceremonies, by the way, sorry to cut you off, Leslie, but
no, you're good. I was done.
okay. With the senior clap out that happened with the SCM, which I actually watched, with Stephen Colbert and Rachel Maddow making appearances, and straight up a lot of stuff that giving back to the seniors, and also the WMSC senior clap out, if y'all remember. They were already doing this stuff for the students, and then they're going to have convocation, which is going to be out at Sprague Field, and individual colleges do their own, but I don't know if they're going to how difficult it's going to be to actually get everyone in one space, and then how are they going to divide up the seats with everyone sitting down and everyone goes up to get their diploma. Like, it's
Yeah.
it's all these questions are coming up now because we weren't really, I don't want to say prepared for what was going to happen to this, but we just didn't know what, how soon it was going to be. So
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't even think like if they did have a graduation, they probably wouldn't have people to come up. I think they'd probably just say the names.
Yeah, and
Right.
that's also like
That's
really
sad.
it's sad for the people who want to, go up and do the walk. So here's the thing. My opinions on graduation have always been weird. I understand the want to walk. It is a ceremonial thing. It's very emotional time for a lot of people. And I understand that. And, personally, I don't, if I like the whole walking and the whole long ceremony. The whole walking thing sounds cool to me. The whole ceremony, like 2 hours long of people telling me, good job, get ready to have to go search for a job, in this economy. That doesn't sound too great, but the walking sounds awesome. And I mean, just not being able to walk, like, it's a ceremony thing. It's almost like a rite of passage, like
Yeah.
you've done it. You've completed 4, 5, 6, however many years, here you
Right.
go. Here's your walk, get your diploma, shake the hand, whatever. Just calling your name that just kind of stinks.
Yeah.
And even if you can walk, you can't shake their hand.
You
You
just,
can't do
what
the
do you do?
classic handoff.
What did you do? You just stand up and wave?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
everyone-
Call your name, stand up, well, and wave to everybody while you're
Go throw
6
your
feet apart
diploma.
from all of your best friends that you know, tore through college with. Like, ugh.
Yeah.
And there are over 200 SCM graduates alone, too.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
lot.
You know,
Not just
and
the College of the Arts.
yeah. So,
So I guess this is bittersweet news too.
yeah.
Oh my God, guys.
It's good, but it's, just like all these stories I think we've been talking about recently, it's different. Like, I can't imagine boardwalks without the games and the food. I can't imagine a graduation without people walking, shaking the hand from the dean.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
It's
that's
like we're-
crazy. There are just some things in life where, look, I'm a total introvert. I'm perfectly fine not being in crowded spaces. However, there are just some things in life that need to be crowded, that need to be packed, and a graduation needs to be packed. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
You know, i- it's weird to see this, but
Mhm.
Yeah.
Totally.
we'll have to see how it plays out. I think it's better than nothing, but I can also see why it might not be.
Yeah, they can do like maybe an Animal Crossing gathering.
Yes. Oh,
That's
I'm
cute.
so into it. So into
They
if I
take
had
the
my
slider
Switch
to
right
see
next to
the
me, I would
Alma
show it on the screen right now. My character in Animal Crossing is wearing a face mask because practice social distancing, kids.
That's perfect. They'll get KK Slider to sing the school song or the alma mater.
Oh yeah.
Wah-wee, wah-woo-wah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, but I mean, nobody's gonna understand the Animal Crossing language. But hey, it's the most popular game right now, so
Exactly.
yeah.
But hey, I mean, and we are seeing, like, even speaking of Animal Crossing graduation, like, even as annoying or as much as we may joke about it, people are doing that. People are also doing Minecraft graduations where they're building a whole world. We had that one story a few weeks ago where somebody, like a group of kids, rebuilt their entire college campus, like almost to scale in Minecraft.
Mhm.
That's so cool.
Crazy to me.
Yeah,
Like,
University of Pennsylvania, which is
yeah,
also Donald Trump's alma mater. So
yeah, and I
That's
mean, like,
dedication, y'all.
that's so, it's cool to see that people are adapting like this, and maybe walking on a fake stage in Minecraft obviously isn't quite the same as walking in real life.
Still pretty
But
sick though.
yeah, I mean, honestly, if somebody rebuilt Montclair State in Minecraft, I wouldn't be mad. I'd be like, all
cool.
right, dude, you put in the time, I'll walk. That's how I'll do it. I don't care.
you get the com building, you get Sam's Place, you get parking with all the lots filled up. Yeah.
Yes. This just in from executive producer Annabella Poland. She wants, and I agree with this, so this might be the next WMSC project. Look forward to it. WMSC rebuilt in Minecraft.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be very big, but we can certainly try.
Although in Sam's Place, if it was built in Minecraft, food would taste the same.
Yeah, it
Well,
would probably taste. It'd probably taste worse or better. I mean,
It'll taste like the holographic meatloaf in SpongeBob.
oh yes, holographic meatloaf.
Yeah.
That was like the saddest scene in SpongeBob. I relate to that so much on a college level. But anyways,
Right.
I guess
Um,
moving on.
Yeah,
I guess
moving
moving
on. So, four, and a little bit more serious news, four South Jersey churches sue the state to reopen. Four South Jersey churches are suing the state that will allow them to reopen their doors. Pastors at two churches in Millville, one in Vineland and two in Swedesboro, have filed a lawsuit asking for an injunction, asking that their respective churches be permitted to open to worshipers. The lawsuit, which names Governor Phil Murphy, Attorney General Gabir Gurwal, and Superintendent of the State Police Colonel Patrick Callahan as defendants, claims the churches can reopen while maintaining social distancing measures.
It also says most of the world's major religions congregate worship essential to practice their faith. Religious services weren't deemed an essential business capable of remaining open by the state. Dwelling Place Network, House of Praise Church, Cornerstone Community Church, and New Jersey Life Church are seeking the ability to reopen and to have the state pay their legal costs. The church plans to practice social distancing, wear masks, and take temperatures with a non-contact instrument. The church would reduce indoor occupancy to between 150 and 180 worshipers, which is less than 25% of the church's occupancy permit, and to have only 5 people on the 40-foot stage. Pastor Bobby Bledsoe of Dwelling Place in Vineland said that his church serves a low-income demographic and very few of them are able to participate in services online or through using social media. So this would be beneficial to them.
He said his church would hold 3 services on Sunday morning, which would allow the 140 worshipers to go to different services and more than adequately follow social distancing guidelines. They also have Monday and Wednesday evening services. Pastor Ralph Graves said Cornerstone Community Church in Millville would also have 3 Sunday services, each limited to 50 people following social distancing guidelines. After each service, the church would be sanitized. The lawsuit was announced a week after Bible Baptist Church in Clementon reopened in violation of the governor's executive order, which was put in place to stifle the spread of the coronavirus. The Bible Church said the governor violated both state and federal law, where he executed the stay-at-home order on March 16th. So we're seeing this all around the U.S., especially, with churches that, people that want to reopen, people that go to church without wearing face masks, and, people that are not abiding by their stay-at-home orders. But I think a good scenario for these churches is to broadcast or live stream the ceremony. So,
Yeah, I mean, so the church that I attend, Liquid Church, shout out to Pastor Tim. He's probably not listening, but hey, Pastor Tim. I mean, we live stream the services each week, each Sunday, and they're also recorded and uploaded to the church's website. And I mean, they've been great so far because on the platform they're using, you can interact during the service, whatever. They have like buttons and interaction things that you can do during the live streams. But also, that said, I feel like even though a lot of churches who serve low income demographics, as you said, Pastor Bobby Bledsoe of Dwelling Place in Vineland, his church serves low income demographic, many of which who can't tune in like that, like online or digitally. I feel like they should still try to live stream for the people who can. I mean, it's as bad as that sounds, and I hate to say it, it's like if you can't have, everybody tune in, you got to at least try and have some people tune in. Yeah, and I do understand both sides to this story, obviously, without going into the whole separation of church and state conversation that you could probably have a 45-minute podcast on just based on this story.
Yeah.
It's I don't know where I stand on this. It's a weird one. It's a weird one for me.
Maybe pastors could do podcasts that are based off their sermons, where they just talk about, hey, everybody, welcome to my podcast. It's brought to you in part by our Lord and Savior. Here is the book of
brought to you in part by our Lord and Savior.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's interesting I understand why they want to reopen. Personally, I don't necessarily think a lawsuit is the way to go. Because it's going to reflect poorly on the church. That's just my personal opinion. I am religious. Got a cross. Got one there too. It's that's just my personal opinion. I feel like it's going to reflect poorly on the church.
Right. But yeah, like and also being that I'm Armenian, I don't mean to bring the fact that I'm Armenian up every time I'm on the station, but
you gotta.
I mean, it's a special thing. But yeah, with our diaspora, we are, we're doing Zoom calls, and we're doing from what I see, we're doing online stuff with with the pastors from their homes, or the priests from their homes, doing all the the sermons and everything, which is it's a good take on what to do, and some potential ideas that we could that they could potentially use in digital stewards do that I can't speak digital stewardship. There we go. And mental health programs that are accessible for all at a time when we are seeing tenfold calls to hotlines. So, there's a lot of potential to what they can do, but it all has to come from them and from within. They can't just say, "Oh, we want to reopen it without face masks," because we know how that's going, and we know that it's not in the right direction.
Yeah, and an interesting thing too is obviously one of the reasons they're suing is I understand, like I said, personally I don't think suing is the way to go. However, I do understand why they're suing. Churches are really struggling financially right now because most churches rely on donations and tithing. Um, I guess if you don't know what tithing is, it's a tithe means a tenth. So in Christianity, you give a tenth of your income to the church, basically. So that's what it means. A lot of people just donate, what they have if they, can't afford or don't feel comfortable enough to do a tenth. But all in all, that's really what keeps churches going. I mean, churches aren't going to charge you to walk in the door most times. I don't know about all churches, but my church doesn't charge people to walk in the door, and that's what keeps churches going is donations. And because a lot of churches aren't set up digitally, a lot of churches are, I guess for lack of a better word, I guess classic churches. You show up on Sunday in your Sunday best at a nice, I don't know, church house by a lake or something. Think of a movie scene, any movie scene you've ever seen with a church. That's pretty close. Whereas a lot of churches now are starting to try and do virtual stuff. My church does. You can tithe, you can donate like online if you watch online. Um, but a lot of churches aren't set up like that. So I understand why they're suing, but you know, again, it's a weird one, I think. I mean, do you guys think that suing is the right way to go or
I don't
no? I mean,
know.
there's no wrong answer, obviously. It like I said, it's a tricky situation that they're in because either way, they're in trouble. If they
Right.
sue, I think they look bad, but if they don't, sue, they're probably going to really struggle financially. I don't know. So what do you guys think?
It's tricky. It's certainly tricky because given the circumstances of what they want, and given the possible outcomes of what may occur, it's always difficult because you don't know if because although they're on a decline of coronavirus cases, it's still, you know the churches have been getting, I don't mean to say, I don't mean to be negative, but they have been getting a bad press lately because there are plenty in the US that were opening, and people weren't wearing face masks. But given that they want to reopen, that these churches want to open with face masks and social distancing, that's a reasonable thing to do. Except I don't think suing would really bring that to a halt. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know like how else they would get their attention if not suing, but I still don't think suing is the right way to go.
Yeah. I think the idea is maybe like the threat of a lawsuit. As weird as this may sound, the threat of a lawsuit is almost sometimes more effective than an actual lawsuit
Yeah.
because it brings attention to the issue. A lawsuit both brings attention to the issue, but also might cause trouble.
Mhm.
So for people who think like, oh, people just get money suing over anything, we've had the things where people are suing colleges for $600. Yeah, well, also lawyers cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
So a lawsuit like this is probably very financially straining.
Mhm.
Um, so it's like it's a gamble, really. I mean, if they're struggling financially and they're suing to reopen, that's gonna be kind of tough because if they don't win that, that's not great. Now, granted, they brought attention to their issue, and other people might, I don't know, maybe put together a petition and hey, they might reopen eventually, but also it's a weird one. Like I said, it's I think that they'll kind of pull through. In some ways, I mean, also the problem though is, like they said, a lot of churches do rely on people showing up, and a lot of uh, religious activities rely on people being together in person in groups. But and as important as that is, we also see stories like the one from CNN. Texas church canceled their masses because a member of their, not congregation, but a priest of theirs died from COVID. And it's hard to say, did he get that from doing something else, or did he get that because they were doing their masses?
Right.
Um,
It all comes from when it actually happens, and we've seen this with. There's in Arkansas where the CDC warned of coronavirus spread. Groups gatherings of 2 people infects dozens at church, and there's these cases. They will go on and on, but as long as it's up to them, it has to come from within. And if they need to heed the word of, hey, wear face masks and social distance. If they can't do that, then I don't think they're worthy of hearing a sermon. I'm just saying.
yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. It's a hard thing to say. It's a hard thing for people to hear, I think. But yeah, like, look, I'm all for, people having faith in good stuff happening. I think it's what keeps a lot of people going, because this story, as much as it sounds like a religious / political story, this is also definitely touches on psychological. People use church to cope with stuff, and I think the biggest argument for this is people need a coping mechanism right now, and that's what churches are trying to give people. But also, you gotta take the precautions. You got to take the proper precautions in having a ceremony, because if you don't, that's why we keep seeing stories like this where, hey, these churches had to close because you know people got infected, people spread. California actually issued guidelines for church reopenings. The guidance from the California Department of Public Health calls for churches, mosques, synagogues, and other religious groups to limit attendance to 25% of the building's capacity, or a maximum of 100 people, whichever one's lower. It also calls for providing temperature screenings at the door and requiring all congregants and staff to wear face coverings, use hand sanitizer frequently, and practice social distancing. And places of worship should also consider discontinuing singing in situations where there's an increased likelihood from transmission from contaminated exhaled droplets, which sounds
Right.
gross, but that's what the public health department said. And it's, like I said, it's a weird one. For those of you who attend church, you probably know, like, again, music worship is a huge part, even if you don't go to church. In almost every religion, music is a huge part of worship. But it like we said, it's just stuff like this where we gotta just kind of buckle in and crack down on this stuff until things get better.
Yeah, let's all go in a circle and sing Kumbaya, my lord.
Exactly. But while you're in the circle, remain 6 feet apart, wear a face mask.
Yeah, and as we move
sing
on,
Kumbaya from 6 feet apart or through Zoom.
yeah, and moving on, this is something I wanted to get to because I'm, as you all know, as you see in the background of my room, and pretty much
I've heard rumors, George, that you are a sports fan.
Yeah,
Mildly.
and those rumors are true, especially since I did the sportscast on Rock and Talk Radio Show. Which
hey, yes, you did, sir.
Yeah.
So, how excited are you, dude, for with Phil Murphy's tweet yesterday about sports reopening?
Yeah, I'm really excited. Phil Murphy, as if in case you didn't hear, he said that professional sports teams in New Jersey may return to training and even competition if their leagues choose to move in that direction. So, thank you, Phil. But it has to come from the league as well, because like NFL and NHL and baseball, and looking at the stories like Marcus Stroman, who is a pitcher for the Mets, and he's saying that it's not looking promising that baseball will be back this summer, or but we also heard from the NHL that they plan to return with 24 teams competing for the Stanley Cup. As a sports fan, it's what you want to see, and I'm really excited. But the leagues, they want, when is the return happening? That's what I want to know. And being that Marcus Stroman, he tweeted Tuesday the quote, "This season is not looking promising," end quote. This is after the Players Union, which is the MLB Players Union, was left disappointed by MLB's latest financial proposal, which entails the highest paid players taking greater pay cuts to their peers and more pay cuts than the union thought it would need. And, straight up, you want to see baseball back, and because it's the summer sport. There's no other real summer sport that you can celebrate and go out and get a hot dog and a soda and a popcorn, and you want to see it. And being that I was a Jackals fan, a bat boy, an intern, a fan, nothing pains me more than missing out on my favorite thing of the year, which is going to baseball games. So, yeah.
George, baseball games or boardwalk?
There you go. If you had to pick which one to fully reopen.
That's a tough one. As much as I love the boardwalk, I love baseball even more.
Fair.
Yeah, I just look. Look, all the respect to the boardwalk. Look, I love the cheese fries and the lemonade and the Coors ice cream, but
My games are exciting.
it's just when nothing beats the sensation of going to a ballpark and sitting down at a
Yeah, so I had to throw this one up there.
straight
Dude,
up.
what if instead of going, would you rather just get a cardboard cutout of yourself to go?
I would
Korean baseball's been doing this, by the way. For those of you who are listening and not watching, you can always watch on right now YouTube Live or check us out on YouTube afterwards. That was an image of Korean baseball's been doing cardboard cutout fans, which I actually saw a live game of. I couldn't sleep, so I turned the TV on at 3:30 in the morning the other day, and I saw Korean baseball playing, and it was weird because seeing news images of it is way different than watching it in person. It is freaky to
Is it
see. Like,
disturbing? Like to watch?
it's not disturbing.
it's funny.
It's funny, but they treat it so seriously. It's like if I was a sportscaster, I would just be laughing and making jokes the entire time. But they literally just treat like, yeah,
The
people
fans
are
don't
there,
agree with that
and
call.
it's like, no, people aren't there.
Wait,
Yeah,
They're cardboard cutouts.
Did they have like sound effects of fans going like woo and
It
stuff like?
sounded, for some reason, it might have just been because it was 3:30 in the morning and I wasn't fully awake. I swear, it sounded like there were fans. And it was weird. I don't know if they were putting in sound effects. I don't know if that was like just
God.
the ambient noise or whatever, but it almost sounded like there were fans there.
I gotta catch a game just to see that.
yeah.
Oh,
if you
yeah.
want- If you want to wake
It's
up at like 2 in
weird.
the morning and catch one, I recommend them. It's the only baseball that we have right now. And if the Jackals or the Yankees or if any other team has to attest to playing games with no fans, then just get a cardboard cutout of me in my Jackals uniform and my flag and my hat and my autograph book, or just sit me in right behind home plate and give the pitcher something to look at.
Exactly. It's the cheapest way to get a home plate seat, I think, is pay $20 for a cardboard cutout. Because
Yeah.
that's what a lot of places are doing. I think a lot of these we covered this story on the Buzz earlier in the previous weeks, where the Korean baseball was first starting up, where they were actually using people paying for cardboard cutouts to donate to COVID causes. But I found it weird that they're only doing this for baseball. Like, George, you're a sports guy. I mean, what other sports do you think they could do this in? It'd be
Well,
weird to see it. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, they're doing it in baseball.
Right. I know in Germany they're doing it for the German soccer league, the Bundesliga, which, I'm a Borussia Dortmund supporter, so, I really want to see that happen, especially since there's an American on the team who's only like a teenager, which is like really cool to watch. And, they just the only thing is they don't have fans in their stadiums. They completely vacate it. But I would like to see this happen for a lot of other stadiums and other teams. Get fans that are cardboard cutouts. Even like it would be funny if you get like cardboard cutouts of world leaders and just sit them in the suites and celebrities and just like oh, Jack Nicholson, he's sitting at a Lakers game. Oh no, that's a cardboard cutout of him from
Yeah, I mean, and that's the funny part about the Korean Baseball League thing. They had what's that? Is it BTS? That famous like K-pop group? They had like the whole group as cardboard cutouts there.
Yeah.
So I think it's funny, and
It's fun.
it's kind of fun to show that. And like you said, I mean, the people who are famous for, famous people who are famously known for showing up to baseball games or whatever, having their favorite fans, I think they could do that too.
Mhm.
But I don't
You
know.
never know. But yeah, we are nearly hitting the end of our morning buzz, and this is a great show. I want to say thank you all for you listening on YouTube. And Leslie, do you want to do the honors? I've been doing the honors lately, so I think we should hand over the
What are the honors?
The
Would-
honors,
goodbye?
Leslie,
Goodbye.
of wrapping up,
Oh.
of telling our listeners thank you.
Thank you, listeners, so much. Can't trust me with anything.
Gotta throw her on the spot. Thank you for listening to us, to the Morning Buzz, here on 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, and on WMSC on iHeartRadio, and now on YouTube Live, occasionally on
Wait a minute,
Facebook
Ryan.
as well.
Don't forget, if WMSC is not on your radio, Facebook Live, or YouTube, then
None of them are even on, George.
thank you.
Why are you tuned into anything else other than us at WMSC? Exactly.